this amount of capacity there, and I readily know I can't do that. But you know what? I can help define that. I can be part of this, part of the whole deal. I can't do it myself. I'm presenting a solution, which I've already thought through because I did know my numbers going into the situation.
I just went to this, I guess it was last week, one of the classes at U of H Power School, SVC, over on family, and it was on the numbers, and it was for small business owners.
Making sense of the
And
numbers.
just it was some things that I needed to strengthen up on. And the gentleman that taught the course, an attorney, CPA, has run his own company, been in the finance department of Schlumberger's and companies like that. Now he teaches out at U of H, and his keys were exactly what you said. The numbers in general, inventory, how many employees you're going to have, how many hours you need to be opened up, how many customers you're going to need in order to get where you want financially, then the financial numbers, and really stressed, the balance sheet, so you got that picture in time, right now, what do you look like, and then the income statement, and he said that's the one you live with. And then he talked about in that class how you can see where there could be some hiccups and where you can clean it up, and then the idea of knowing what your margin will be, because not every company is the same.
Right. So now you're in a better position, right?
Yeah.
For your own business or your own self now, you're in a better. You could talk a little bit better. You didn't have to go to your
Well, it helps you make a decision.
You didn't have to get your accounting degree, did you?
No.
No, but in that short period, you're able to do an understanding, clarify. Here's what's really important there. I'm not trying you to be managerial accounting. Not trying you to be anything in that area, but I want you to understand what's going on with the business at either point in time or over a period of time. Is that what you got out of
Yes,
that?
it was really a worthwhile, and I think it was $25.
Well,
And so let's look at marketing for a moment, and let's look at the many components of marketing. All right. So let's check out your outreach. All right. So let's say you're starting up your company, or you need to grow the business. You need to grow. Ask yourself, who are you going to go out? Okay. So in life, if you start playing with numbers, even though there's that little 8 on the side that stands for infinity, you don't have infinite resources. Okay. No one on earth has infinite resources. Even the government, they can print until we all go under. But the fact is, you have to be mindful of the fact that you only have so much air to breathe in business, which is cash, credit, or whatever. So you need to determine who are you going to focus on. So if right now I'm sitting with you and you're like, John, I need to grow the business. Well, do we spend your marketing dollars on bringing in more customers? And most of you are like, heck yeah, duh. Any dumb would know that, John. I will challenge you to say this. Maybe we need to spend more marketing dollars to go get capacity, to recruit the type of people and the type of investors and the type of folks that can help you build your business. Because most of you, there's a reason there are $1 million companies, $5 million companies, $10 million companies, $50 million companies, and above. Because at some point, they all knew to put in place structure. And that's why I said for many of you, taking advice from a lot of these people on Facebook and a lot of these people on even LinkedIn now that are running around talking about they had these, they were in corporate and they were doing so great as like a third level executive assistant, and then they left corporate because they weren't appreciated, and now they're out here giving you advice versus the people in the studio now that have been to the top of the game and been at that C level that can explain to you like, well, that's really not how we were doing it. If you want me to tell you, we can have coffee. You need to understand that when you're marketing, your marketing dollars first need to go to create a brand that looks like someone else would want to work for you, a brand that looks like someone else would want to partner. Forget the customers, forget the people bringing in money, because what's happening for many of you, you're dropping the ball. I know many of you had RFQs, RFIs, RFPs this week, and you missed the deadline because you didn't have the capacity, because you didn't have personnel there. And part of your marketing is cradle to grave. It's not just saying the fancy stuff. Part of it is you have the infrastructure on the back end that if you bring an employee in, there's a checklist there. There's some way that you can vet this person. There's some way that you can onboard this person, because many of you as small business owners, you don't even know your process and procedures, but you want somebody to sit down and be like, well, you said you work for so-and-so, well, get in there and start doing it. And they're like, dude, I don't know. All I know is, yes, I've sold before. Yes, I've marketed before, but what's your mission? What's your statement? What is this all about? And then what happens? Same business owner comes to one of these events. Oh my gosh, I hired 7 people. They're all so dumb. People are so hard to find good talent. When Walmart or the U.S. Army, any of these major organizations onboard you, they walk you through a process. and they make sure that you know every morning at Walmart you're going to be clapping, you're going to ring things up at a certain rate, you're going to punch in, you're going to punch out, you're going to do what you're supposed to do. And what I was getting to before is so many people that didn't make it in corporate are out here now trying to train you and teach you about how to be in small business. And so they're purposely twisting your mind enough to make you think that process and procedure doesn't matter, that your passion is enough, that your drive and your go-get, that's how they made it. Their boss said something to them and they left. Damn, Don, I'm out of here, John. This is stupid. And then after years and years of begging, pleading, and falsifying who they really are, you finally bought enough books, or they finally got enough speaking engagements, they finally got enough clients to now make you believe they're doing it the way you wish you were doing it. So I'm just saying, look, first marketing dollars for most of you better be spent on building a brand, creating a strategy, and communicating that to the public so you can recruit some bandwidth. Because bandwidth makes money. Okay, throwing it to somebody else.
Well, I think there are a couple of things to play off of that, John, because I think those are great points. Let's start with the brand. Whether it's your company or you're a franchisee, so you're living off of somebody else's brand, you can always enhance it. So the first thing is a small business owner realize that it's you. That you're the CEO, so that you're going to be the face of that brand. And the other thing to realize is in today's market, you don't own the brand. The customers own the brand, potential customers own the brand, and your employees own the brand.
Huge.
The companies don't own the brand anymore. So some steps to consider. One is to listen, to have an understanding of what your customers' wants and needs are, to make sure that your brand is delivering that. I read something the other day that I thought was really interesting, that you need to have two ears when it comes to listening about the brand. One is from a strategic perspective, what do they want? And then one from a tactical perspective, how do I execute it to make sure that happens? You've got to educate your employees on what your brand means so that they truly internalize it. You can't just say, this is who we are. As John was saying, if you've got to educate the folks so they understand what your brand really means and they believe it. Go to a Container Store, fly Southwest Airlines, visit a Sewell dealership. Those kind of companies, they live and breathe their brands. You've got to think about the brand in terms of it's always going to be changing. So you've got to combine whatever data you can get with the experiences that you have. Challenge the norm. Avoid the we've always done it this way syndrome. You've got to get out of that. Empower your team to make decisions. If you're truly going to have a livable brand, if I've come into a situation and I'm not happy and Miguel can't solve it for me right then it's going to it's not going to make me happy. I went through a situation with the bank recently where I had an issue with a fraudulent spending on my debit card, and I had a real difficult time with the bankers on the phone. But when I went into the branch, amazing, quick, easy, no problem. We're going to take care of it. So they were empowered. Create. Always be creating. Avoid the lip service of innovation, but truly look at what you've got to take care of what you have now. So one eye on what you have now, but another eye on where do we need to be in the future. And then I guess the last part to think about from the brand is as much as you can make it delightful an experience, then do so. So that could be, Hilton, when you check in, they have the warm cookies for you. Or if you've gone to some B2B meeting or presentation and you're leaving and they have a white paper on the subject, it'll help you learn more. So again, just, is there a way that you can delight on that? And then if I can extend a bit, John,
yeah, absolutely.
The other to consider is look at it in terms of what would you like your customers to say. When they leave you, what would you like for them to say?
That's a very good
When I worked with Melissa, she made the difficult easy. She made it easy for me to work with her. When I'm with Miguel, I don't ever have any surprises. He keeps me informed, so I know what's going on. I feel like John respects me, which means John values my business. Have the best of something. You can't have the best of everything, but have the best of something. You can have the best people, the best location, the best price, the best product, the best service, but if you can, have the best of something, and then finally get to the point where they feel like they trust you. If they trust you, then they're an advocate.
Those are awesome points. And look, I'll say this. that really summed up the experience. Not your experience, but their experience. Remember, first you're interested in the person at this networking event, so you took it upon yourself to intentionally create that experience. So in dealing with kids, there's a lot of noise in their head. There's players going on. There's things on TV. There's a lot of noise. So to get a message across, whether you're coaching them or raising them, you have to be intentional. And grown-ups are no different. Okay. So it'd be, because I hear a lot of you taking credit for, well, they didn't appreciate the fact that I opened the door, I sent them something, or I gave them 5% discount. That's not intentional enough, and you were doing it with a lot of reservation. And so for many of you, because I think last week when I did that spiel, it was about you really have to go ahead and understand it's not about you. If you're going into business, it's not about money. Money is what we measure, all right? At the end of the day, you will make more money helping people, and you have your books. Because you'll be able to know I'm going to help more people this way and then this way because it's losing me money. I'm going to improve my process. But for many of you, you don't have the ability yet to check your ego at the door. And the moment you're able to say, you know what, really, I think I want to help people. And the reason it's hard for many of you to help others is because you're already in a bind. You're already almost broke. You're about to lose your job. You have a pressure behind somewhere coming for money, or you feel you have to prove something to somebody else. And your ego puts you in a position where you can't listen if you want to. It's kind of like if you had to go pee, and somebody's trying to tell you a cool story. You're so interested right now in getting into the bathroom that no matter what they say, it's like, yeah, okay, I agree, yeah, fine, I'll pay that much for the, and you run to the bathroom. Many of you don't have the ability to stop, check your ego, and listen to others. So, you want to jump in?
We covered this last week. Too.
Right.
It's the whole thing of giving more that selflessness.
Yep.
So the selfishness is pervades our society right now. Because, find out about the rest of it. You said being interested. You look there, you're talking to them. What is it that you're doing? All right, John,
Exactly.
what is it you're going into? What are the different projects you're running? Well, how's that come along? Is there, what are the different areas that you need help in? And by that time, you're starting to formulate it. Do for somebody I know have a possible alternative to you that could be beneficial. Now, like I said, when you see me next time, that's sort of you think I'll like you, okay? And then they got on the human nature, and that's for every
Past, not once did you try to sell me anything. All you were trying to do was get a feel for beyond maybe some demographics that you could pick up pretty easy. You're trying to find out, what are my goals? What do I love? What do I hate? What keeps me up at night? So you didn't even talk about it.
It's never about me, okay? It should always be about the other person, okay? No matter what the relationship is, it's always about the other person.
And be able to do that without having an expectation, which is really tough.
That's correct. Of course, from my standpoint, it doesn't hurt that I don't have any expectations. I don't have to get anything out of anything. And that's something that I've always found, even from where if I've introduced myself and whatnot to whatever the audience, and they come back, well, what's in it for you? And I'm going, I don't understand the question. I'm trying to see what I can do to help you out, or if not me, one of my friends.
Right. And that is definitely something that I run into a lot as well. So they're like, why are you helping me? Well, for me, it's one of those I have somebody to spar with or have an opportunity to, make a difference. But in most cases, there's very little the other person on the other side of the table can do for me. I mean, it sounds crazy, but there's a reason that I kind of work to get all the different skill sets in place and work on stuff. What I'm looking at is how can we work together and do something that's first fun, and second profitable, all right, or at least impactful. And that's so hard. Well, John, what do you? And so people call me like, hey, will you do videography for me? I'm like, I don't know how much to charge for that. I mean, yeah, I'm good at what I do, and I studied my trade and bought the best stuff I could find and teamed up with the best people at it, but I don't know how much to charge you. I'm not an hourly person. So that's one of those things where, again, I set out to help you first. That's 10 years of score and all this other stuff. Because I just figured out when you're curious like a kid, you learn so much versus me trying to sell you a widget. So, John, do you want to jump in?
Well, I think I think we're all salespeople, but it goes back to what I mentioned earlier in the day. I think if you can take the mindset of building relationships, meeting needs, and providing value, you'll come through. Jim Rohn talks about, when he was still alive, why he was still doing the seminars, because he had made all the money that he needed to make. But part of it was the the reinforcement that he received from the audience. And I think that's one of the things I think you probably get from it, Miguel, and just don't realize is you get satisfaction in knowing you've helped somebody figure something out, or you've helped them take their business to the next level, or you found them a partner. And I think that's again part of it is that you can help somebody solve a problem, and you can truly be of value, whether it be a product or service that you have to offer, or is it, I can't help you, but I know John can, and let me connect you with John.
So you're listening to Community Business Hour here on 90.1 KPFT, Houston, Texas, Pacifica Radio. It is approximately 33 minutes past the hour, and we're back. Okay, keep going. Just have to give the
We're
call.
going to have the weather. Have the weather.
It's hot in here. It's sunny outside.
You didn't tell us it was October. It's not. That's all right.
But yeah, so when it comes to the marketing, let's say you go out into the field today, or you have some events, or you go to the hub event. Business cards are not enough. All right. So what I would suggest to most of you, depending on who's doing your website or who's doing whatever, if you're doing it yourself, go to your hosting company and find out if there is a client or customer relationship management software built in. So I use a company, an organization, and when I go into the back side of it, like you log in where you pay your bills and you set up your site, they offer all the open source, they offer many open source CRMs there. So what happens is I set up the CRM, and what it does is I can put all the contact information, I can upload to Excel files, whatever, all that information. So when I go out with apps on my phone, I can take a picture of your business card. I can usually hand it back to you, say save the paper, because I'm like, I know tradition is great, and I know there's this air about doing things the old guard, old school way, but that's history. We don't do business like that, all right? The family, the nucleus, all this other stuff, Airbnb, on-demand, everything, that's where we are now. And that's why companies go from 0 to 1 billion like that, okay? That old school thing is played out. So I'm going to take a picture of it, or we're going to bump phones, we're going to exchange information. It's going to go to my CRM. I'm going to mark in there this person is basically research as a customer for me, or this person is part of my infrastructure, or this person may be help with the lobbying part of it. I identify what that person means to me right there in the phone, and then I forget it. I don't have to worry about it again. So when I get home, or I have a virtual assistant or an administrator look into the database, or I turn it over to somebody else and say, hey, how many people did I meet at that event that can help us with city council? How many people did I meet at that event that know someone in Austin? How many of that people? And they'll go through the cards. Well, this person. Do I have that person on LinkedIn? No, you don't. Well, I need to connect with that person. And so then I'll go from there. I'll connect with that person on LinkedIn. Like, hey, John, hey, how are you? And we'll have a few exchange words. Thanks for connecting. If there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. I'm here. So at that point, I've now triggered the relationship. Now the CRM, what we call workflow on the back end, starts to do its job. This is the heavy lifting. The CRM knows that John reached out to this person on the 16th. On the 18th, I'm going to send this person an email that says, hey, this is from John's CRM. He's just reconnecting with you to let you know he's still there in case you forgot about it. Then it's going to notify me to follow up with either a text, because I'm on that level with that person now, or a phone call to say, hey, did you get my email? This is the things that are going on right now. Just checking bases with you. That's it. The bulk of all my business is done outside of business. It's done at the country club. It's done at the grocery store. It's done on the fly. It's done at Chick-fil-A. It's not done in the office. Okay? When we're talking about my B2B, my infrastructure. So when you go to this hub event and you start talking about things like your scope of work and your capabilities and all that other stuff, that's great. You're blending in. What we end up talking about, what the kids are doing, like what the weather looks like, because we're trying to understand whether or not we can trust you, whether we can be on this. Are we one and the same? Do we have the same values? Okay? And too many of you get in there, you got 15 business cards, you do 20 different things, you got next codes for 100 different, I do this, I do that, I'm really good at all of it. It's not going to work. So I want you to go look up open source CRMs. You don't have to go out and buy 5 seats to Sugar or 5 seats to Salesforce and all. That stuff's expensive. There's open source software out there for you to try out. Put that behind that. Put that on your website. No one can see it. It'll be like on mine. It'll be, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you give it a your CRM dot your website. That way you can always get to it from your phone. That's the first thing in numbers. Okay? You're tracking the people, you're following when you're contacting them, you understand how you're connecting. So that's one of those action steps I want you to take. You got to get a CRM. We won't even get into the accounting part. And even if that CRM at this point is just a spreadsheet, or you're using your Google account and you're using your please, I won't even get into that. That's a whole nother story. For security and other purposes, as far as using a Gmail account for everything until the end of time, all right? Because there's a lot of sensitive data. Again, as we were saying before, anything you put online is not yours unless it's going to your website on a server that you actually own. Even if it's going into a virtual cloud, I realize at any moment all that information could disappear or be hacked or compromised. But I want you to start networking more effectively, all right? Big 2 points I made. Look, go in there knowing whether you're trying to get customers or grow the business. Getting customers is not growing the business. Plenty of you have access to lots of people, but you don't realize you blow it every time you open your mouth or you do business with them. Because people aren't going to tell you, especially in this day and age of, well, since you know me and you know my kids and we're on Facebook together, I can't tell you your business stinks. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of business and I'm going to go across the street to somebody who's really good. They're not going to tell you that, okay? But I'm here to tell you, go out, build your company so you can walk away from it. And I'm sorry it's freezing. It's the connection is weak for those of you watching. But that was it. I'll stop. Go ahead. Somebody else.
Well, CRM is a great tool, and whatever management tool you use, the critical aspect of it is using it. I did a project for a major oil producer, and within their lubricants group, and one of the issues they had was their CRM, and that the sales folks weren't using it. The marketing was responsible for generating the leads and putting the leads in the CRM and sending them out geographically, and then they would many times die. And the bottom line was you got to use it. And so whether you're a multi-billion-dollar company or one person, you got to use it, and you got to continue to look at it. So if you promise to send Miguel a contact, you send Miguel a contact. Or that if you wanted to, that it's been a week and you wanted to follow up with Miguel a different way, how do you follow up with Miguel a different way?
Look, I mean, John, first you hit upon one, and then you started talking about, so this marketing, the marketing groups, right, went out and bringing it into the CRM. There are some aspects of the relationship that's been cultivated already that obviously they didn't pass on to the back end, okay, to the end user, right? So like as John says, I'm normally not going to talk about business, okay? I'll get around to it, and I apologize, John. This is a little old school, right? But this is my father's training equipment. My father worked for the agency out of San Antonio, and he would constantly get calls from people coming from the left coast, from the Midwest, or from New York, wanting to do business in San Antonio to get into Mexico. Okay, logical step. San Antonio leads into Mexico, right? From the historical perspective and everything, and they were always wanting to push on him. He said,